Hello everyone, and welcome to the first in a very long series of business-focused webinars specifically designed to provide you with information that will help you improve your business. We've been providing MSPs with business consulting services since 2004, so we've worked with tens of thousands of MSPs and have learned a lot about what works best and what doesn't. The information has evolved over the years, and today is our first step in a long journey of providing you with everything we've learned up to date. We'll be doing 2 webinars a month starting today, all the way into next year, so there's a lot of information to cover to be sure. Along with our webinar series, there will be an even longer list of video shorts designed to provide you with a self-guided portal of information so you can watch and learn at your own pace. The future home for all of this information will be ready sometime later this year. At that time, most of the information, webinars, and videos will be made available to anyone in the industry. In the meantime, we will house all this information in the existing resource center. The information will be broken down into several modules. Some modules are aimed at specific roles in your organization, while others are simply grouped by topic. The first module is focused on foundational best practices for our business owners and decision makers. This management module, as we've named it, has 8 webinars scheduled, as you can see here, and each of these webinars will have a high-value deliverable provided to you just for attending. This module will be followed by a sales module and a marketing module, again aimed at those roles in the organization. There will also be a security module and a backup module to uncover these topics specifically, as they're very hot topics in the industry today. Further to that, we intend to do an advanced module for those thought leaders in our space, which uncovers emerging trends and thoughts on what the future of the industry might look like. Alongside all of this, we intend to bring in other well-known industry experts to participate and have a spot of their own on our website for you. Because this isn't about SolarWinds, this is about improving the industry as a whole, even if you're an MSP that owns a competitive product. Each module will be also broken down into smaller bite-sized videos, as mentioned, designed for online self-guided training. Here's an example of how we're breaking them up. As you can see, each webinar topic will be broken down into its component parts so that you can watch only what you need to watch without spending time on something that doesn't apply to your immediate needs. Please tell us what you think about the information we deliver, and feel free to give us ideas on what you'd like to see in the future. In many cases, we might already have it planned, but the more we hear from you, the more value we'll be able to provide. Now with that, let's get this management module started with today's presentation. Allow me to introduce to you one of our senior channel sales specialists, Stephanie Hammond. Stephanie is one of the original team members, hired in 2004, and has worked with thousands of MSPs in a one-on-one consulting role. So she's an amazing resource for all of us. Stephanie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Eris, and good day. Thank you for everyone for taking the time out of your day to join us on today's webinar that we call Today's Most Successful MSP Programs. As Eris mentioned, my name is Stephanie Hammond. I'm a senior channel sales specialist here at SolarWinds. And the focus of today's webinar is we're going to discuss the various types of MSP packages that we have seen successfully implemented in the marketplace today. And we're going to review the feature set that is typically included at each program level. Because having well-defined service offerings is really important, because not only is it going to help streamline your sales process for your sales team and for your clients, but it's also going to improve and streamline how you deliver those services out of your network operations center, or NOC for short. That's helping you to accelerate your customer growth and profitability levels for your business. So looking at our agenda for today's session, the goal is really to review the MSP marketplace, the current trends that we're seeing today, and then based on those trends, we're going to review how they have significantly shaped the types of services and support packages that our MSP customers are going to market with successfully. So some of the specific topics that we're going to be reviewing, we're going to be reviewing the MSP target market, because really the opportunity size for selling managed services is quite extensive. So we're going to review this in a little bit more detail. We're going to look at the SMB market reality. Not all customers are going to be the best fit for like a fixed fee, all-inclusive type of program, and that is okay. You know, there's a lot of other packages that you can build and go to market with and still make good money with some great margins. We're also going to review the SMB alignment strategy. We're going to review the levels of service that exist and the different categories contained within. And then we're going to show you how to build and market packages to target prospects of all shapes and sizes. And then we're going to get really into the meat and potatoes of it all, successful MSP programs, where here we're going to outline in great detail the main types of packages we see our partners sell in the marketplace today. We're going to review the philosophy behind each program level, the target audience, and the features and benefits each contain. So as said, there are lots of opportunities for managed services everywhere, and that's really what this pyramid is trying to show. Obviously, the best opportunities for managed services are those businesses that are about 100 employees or less. They don't have an internal IT department or any sort of IT resource internally. And so this is where you can build out support programs to specifically target those types of organizations that don't have that in-house technical expertise. But if you happen to have customers that, maybe they tend towards the larger end, 100 employees or more, there's also really good recurring revenue opportunities to be had in what we call the mid-market space as well. Even though these types of organizations have internal IT departments, with dedicated technical resources, and as a result, they're not going to be a good fit for the traditional managed services packages that I'm going to discuss today. There's still programs that you can build out to target these types of organizations if you decide to. We're not going to be talking about mid-market programs in today's webinar, but as part of the roadmap of training that Eris discussed earlier, we do plan to build a webinar specifically geared towards how to sell to mid-market organizations, and that will be coming out later on this year. So SolarWinds MSP's value proposition has always been very simple, and it's been the same since we really started business over 15 years ago, to help our customers create and generate recurring revenue from 100% of their customer base, no matter their size, their budget, or their network sophistication level. But before we can get into the different programs that we've seen work in the marketplace today, just want to take a step back and take a few moments to really provide a rundown as to how these different packages came to be and how it was decided, what types of features and line items became included at each program level. So what you're seeing here is a breakdown of the different market segments that are available for our MSP partners to target, kind of starting on the left-hand side, the smaller SMBs who are more interested in break-fix services, over to the right-hand side or the opposite end of the spectrum, where there's more sophisticated organizations who require more expensive types of services. And reviewing this chart is important for a couple of reasons. First, we want to show new or emerging MSPs the benefits of managed services and the benefits of making the investment in certain pieces of technology so that they can transition their organization from being that remote, reactive, IT services company to one that truly embraces automation in order to fully maximize profits. And then secondly, it can also be used to help MSPs segment their own customer base and help them to define their own support packages that they wish to offer to go to market. So this chart can really help MSPs select and align their own go-to-market programs, based on the average size, based on network sophistication, based on budget constraints of their existing customer base today. So kind of looking at this chart at a higher level, you can see the upper portion of the slide, we talk about those 4 different customer segments. We refer to them as, again, break fix, a la carte, proactive, and the fully managed. And then over the years, and what you're seeing on kind of the left-hand side going down, is the type of services that we've seen being provided. And we kind of group them into 5 distinct categories: IT services, security services, cloud and data protection, and professional services. So we're going to start looking at each customer market segment individually. We're going to review the different characteristics of those businesses and what services we typically see sold to them, or conversely, what services we typically see them purchase from MSPs and other IT service providers. So the first that we're going to look at is the reactive customer segment, or what is also referred to as break-fix time material. Break-fix type of engagement is what it sounds like. So typically a fee-for-service model by which the customer picks up the phone whenever they have a problem, they call you for help. And then you as the MSP work on the issue, provide some sort of resolution to whatever the computer issue they're calling about. Then once the issue is resolved, the customer is then invoiced at your pre-negotiated time materials rate. Under this model, the customer has no ties to your organization. There's no contracts in place. And so there's no stickiness or loyalty to you, even if you do happen to be their preferred vendor. These are typically your least mature type of customer. They're typically smaller shops that feel that they're not that dependent or reliant on their network to perform their work. If the network goes down, there's always workarounds. No one really panics. So as a result, they have a perceived lower sense of downtime. And these customers and companies, they don't feel that their network is all that complicated, not that complex, and therefore they typically don't even budget for IT spending and just prefer to call whenever they happen to need support. And they typically shy away from any sort of contract type of arrangement because they are extremely cost conscious, and they feel that being under something called a managed services contract is going to be too expensive for them. So because of all of this, they are a very unpredictable source of revenue to your business, as you really can't provide services and obviously can't bill for those services until there's a problem and really that phone rings. So when we look at what is typically being sold to these types of break-fix customers today, as discussed in the IT services area, here it's really focused on providing remote help desk support on a time material basis. Typically the MSP is using different types of remote control tools that are simple and easy to use, they're cost effective, and they're used to help solve the most common everyday IT problems, like we can't print, customer forgot their password, they can't log into their email, they can't connect to the VPN. And then as discussed, because the customer doesn't have a contract, the IT service provider works to solve the issue at hand and then bill them afterwards. So it's a very transactional type of engagement. From a security, backup, cloud services standpoint, here the IT provider aims to fix whatever problem happens to pop up, regardless of whatever the solution the customer already owns. So it doesn't matter what type of AV they own, backup, what kind of cloud services they have, they'll just fix whatever the problem happens to be. At this level, the service provider's not really into selling services. There's no desire at the moment to educate, standardize their customers on a specific set of tools, primarily concerned with just fixing whatever the issue is at hand and kind of moving on from there. And from a professional services standpoint, pretty much it's involved in small projects, updating company-wide systems, maybe like accounting software or operating system upgrades, and purchasing and installing new equipment as required. Kind of moving up the ladder, we're going to review the next customer segment that we often refer to as the a la carte type of customer. And the a la carte customer is a small step up from the break-fix. They're slightly more mature in the thinking around network services, and that they're beginning to actually think about putting some sort of budget in place for IT support. Because these types of customers, they are starting to get frustrated with the unpredictable cost of repairs and the perception that it takes too long to fix problems whenever they happen to come up. So these customers are tending to be a little bit more willing to spend, some money each month for things that they deem necessary, especially if whatever the issue is happens to be a recurring problem. Like maybe they're getting infected with a virus all too often or losing a file all too often. So when we look at what is typically being sold to the a la carte mentality type of customer, from the IT services perspective, again, this customer is becoming a bit more interested in services that can possibly help to prevent issues or help solve computer issues faster. But although they are starting to show this interest, they're still budget and price conscious. So this is where the MSP provides a menu of services for their customer to choose from, based on whatever the most pressing need is at the time, based on whatever their budget happens to be. And then they may also provide an option of block hours that they can kind of tag on for any remote support issues that happen to come up. To accommodate this new menu of services, the MSP begins to evolve themselves, and they look to invest in various tool sets beyond just remote control. Really, a tool set base that's all aimed at starting to build out regular streams of recurring revenue for them. And with that a la carte menu, the idea is that as the MSP starts to become more and more engaged with their break-fix type of client, striving, to kind of bolt on additional services as required, the goal becomes focused on helping that customer transition out of a break-fix type of engagement and getting them to subscribe to a more proactive or managed type of engagement. So the service provider, they're starting to think beyond having this transactional encounter with their customer. And at this level, they're really starting to think about offering contractual services to help create that sense of stickiness with their customers that doesn't exist today. And then we'll look at security services, backup services, cloud services at this level. Really here, the MSP is evolving. They're trying to move beyond just inheriting and trying to fix whatever AV solution, backup solution, or cloud software that their customer has installed in their systems. And they truly are trying to work towards a level of standardization on a specific set of security backup solutions that they can package up and sell to their customers for that monthly fee. Again, it's all about starting to create that level of stickiness with their customers. But because these types of customers, they're still somewhat price sensitive, the a la carte model works well because the customer can select, whatever services they need today that fits whatever technology budget they've initially put in place. And then while the MSP works to align all clients under contract and begin to utilize a specific technology stack of security and backup solutions as well. And then we're looking at professional services. Here we're building on the project and the procurement services that, pretty much occurred in the break-fix world. And here the MSP is beginning to offer a basic level of reporting to their customers, which is typically focused on the network's overall IT health. And then continuing up the ladder again, we're going to talk about the proactive customer segment. The proactive customer type is really that first real customer type that can start to drive substantial recurring revenue to your bottom line. Unlike the break-fix clients, unlike the a la carte customers, proactive customers are very much aware how important their network is to the overall success of their business. And they're aware that they need to start being proactive in how they care for their network. So these types of customers are generally very receptive to hearing about managed services, and they're more willing to pay for some sort of network management under a contract type of engagement. So what's being sold to customers at this level? So looking at IT services, here really the philosophy is all about issue prevention and working to create and maintain a stable and a reliable network for their end customer. At this level, that paradigm is really shifting, from that customer paying for when something is broken to taking that same technology budget and convincing them to put it towards paying for uptime instead. It's typically at this level where the MSP begins to invest in some sort of remote monitoring and management software so that they can use it to really embrace that more proactive approach in how they deal with their customers' network. They begin to incorporate a checklist of preventative maintenance activities that they plan on delivering on a regular and ongoing basis. And as such, they start to charge a larger fee for these types of services. There's still going to be some elements of downtime and help desk support is going to be required, but by virtue of engaging in this more proactive approach to network management, the idea is that the number of downtime incidents experienced, hopefully should be greatly reduced. And then looking at security services, backup services at this level, Here we typically see services from that previous a la carte menu that we talked about being bundled up and packaged up into a defined program that focuses on end user security and end user data protection. At this level, the MSP is moving beyond offering those individual services, and they're instead looking to offer a basic security and data protection package to their customer for that set monthly price. And then looking at cloud services, here the MSP is starting to investigate and looking at infrastructure as a service offering. Many times it starts with the MSP maybe hosting their customer servers, but that can easily expand to other hardware storage, data center space, or network components as well. And then from a professional services standpoint, the project consulting evolves to take on more of a VCIO and VCTO flavor, as the customer at this level is really expecting more than just basic account management meeting to review, just basic network health reports. And then lastly, looking at the top end of the spectrum and what we refer to as a fully managed or as a fixed fee type of customer. At this level, this is where the MSP chooses to productize their contracts and their support packages and convert them all into an all-inclusive fixed fee model, which truly is the pinnacle of managed services. But at this level, this is where the MSP is assuming 100% of the risk. But the risk is greatly diminished by using a cohesive standard suite of monitoring software with automation, security, and data protection tools, and using the same set of tools across every one of their customers. And because the MSP at this level, they are assuming 100% of the risk, in return, you can charge a premium for this level of service. Managed customers are truly that outsource. They really believe in outsourcing. They recognize that we don't have the skill set in-house. We don't want to hire anybody in-house. So they would rather just focus on what they do best as an organization and then outsource those types of services to a credible third party. Because these types of customers have an absolute understanding that the stability and the performance of their network is critical, and that any amount of network downtime at this level costs their organization time and money. So looking at what is typically sold to these types of customers, for IT services, at this level, really the name of the game is efficiency. This is where automation is wholeheartedly embraced by the MSP in efforts to increase the utilization of their engineers. Because this is really imperative, because customers are expecting to pay a flat fee for help desk support, and this type of contract can only be profitable to the MSP by leveraging automation and standardization of the tool sets that they use across their customer base. Looking at security, looking at backup, at this level, the MSP has evolved where they're offering true cybersecurity solutions and disaster recovery as a service to end customers who absolutely require these higher levels of security and data protection just due to the fact that their network is more complex, and therefore their sensitivity to downtime is the highest, and they're managing and taking in such critical customer and business data that they need to rely upon and therefore that they need to protect. From cloud services standpoint, at this level, the MSP typically offers application and SaaS-based management, something like a VDI environment right down to the desktop level. And then lastly, looking at professional services, here at this level, as companies are evolving, as companies are growing and expanding, boards of directors will begin to ask and expect some level of annual report on things like cybersecurity risk, so that the MSP works to be able to provide that type of information by evolving themselves and begins to offer virtual security information officer types of services to their clients, or CISO for short. As a service provider at this level, they need to start being more forward thinking here. They need to start having a 12 to 36-month view out and be a visionary, as they need to be able to see what's important and what's coming down the pipe from a technology standpoint, security standpoint, process standpoint, that type of thing. And it's really at this level where the MSP is that true business consultant. In a lot of cases, this is where the sale first starts for a lot of our top tier service providers at SolarWinds MSP today. You know, they go out offering these high level consulting services first and then sell the technology and the managed services kind of after the fact. And areas that are typically discussed in these type of CISO type of meetings, you know, there's things like policy, strategic planning, security, capital spending, that type of thing. And I don't really mean to gloss over the cloud and professional services section on these charts, but again, going back to Eris's kind of timeline and the map of the different training that's coming out, we do plan on delivering an advanced set of webinars in the future, specifically on these types of areas. So even though considerable time was just spent describing each of these 4 different program level types, the market reality is that 75% of the market is still considered break-fix and responsive, meaning that 75% of the businesses out there that MSPs are trying to target are still classified as being break-fix. You know, those types of clients who perceive that they don't have a need for managed services and would prefer to just call whenever they have a problem, or would prefer just to purchase products and services whenever the need happens to arise. But as we press ahead, I will demonstrate to you that there are programs and pricing strategies that we have seen work very well that you can use to help convert even the most budget conscious of customers. So let's start to uncover what these programs actually look like. And we're going to start with the a la carte model program methodology. And this is the best program to offer to those businesses that have been traditionally break-fix, or maybe they've been block hour in the past, and they may be hesitant to move into a full contract of, you know, professional maintenance services. Again, those smaller customers that, you know, they don't have a very sophisticated network set up, you know, those extremely price-sensitive customers who would really just prefer to call when something is broken or something is needed. You know, in other words, that 75% that currently makes up the marketplace today. So the question really becomes, how on earth will you ever make money off of these types of customers, especially since they do, unfortunately, make up the majority of the market opportunities for you? At this point, it is really all about keeping things simple and sticking to the basics. The a la carte menu is various services that you can offer to your break-fix time material clients based on whatever the most pressing need of the day is for them, or again, what their budget constraints may be. And I really like to refer to these as the building blocks of managed services. We typically see our partners include, you know, what you're seeing here on the slide, you know, the following building blocks as part of their a la carte menu. And you can see from this list, it really does cover the basics that all businesses, no matter how big or how small, they require. You know, things like managed antivirus, managed patch, managed backup, you know, either at the server or the workstation level, managed compliance, audit, managed mail, managed mobile, help desk support. And the nice thing about the building block approach is, as you begin to insert yourself into the client's business and begin to really understand their market and their growth objectives, you're going to begin to evolve as that trusted advisor for them. And as a result, you're going to naturally begin to gain credibility with that customer and be able to start recommending additional services to support their business objectives. And as they begin to bolt on more and more of these services under the a la carte model, their monthly spending is going to quickly grow to being the same or maybe close to that of a proactive program. And then from there, the delta to move them up the ladder into a higher level program like the proactive program that we'll talk about next, it becomes that much easier and quicker to accomplish. So as you can see from this slide, you know, average price tends to range anywhere from $3 to $5, $15 per service per endpoint per month. And the profitability margins, pretty good, despite the fact that this is an entry-level program geared towards very price-sensitive organizations. Now, just a cautionary note, you know, there may be the temptation, and I've seen it working with my partners, to charge a relatively low price for each of these services in a desire to sign up as many net new monthly contract customers as possible. But I'm asking you to resist the urge to do that. We actually kind of want you to do the opposite. We want you to actually charge a premium for each service item so that you end up creating an upgrade path for yourself. Because as you begin to add on individual services for each endpoint for your customer, there is eventually going to become a tipping point when it really just makes sense to convert them into a higher level, more encompassing program like the proactive program. And lately, what we've been seeing is MSPs are beginning to productize the a la carte menu. And they're starting to go to market selling three programs based on grouping some of these individual services or building blocks all together. So we've seen MSPs bundle together the building blocks of AV and patch and offer what we're calling a core security program, like what you see on the left. And we've seen a premium a la carte program being created called Core Desktop, which is what you see in the middle. And here it incorporates cloud backup into the mix. And then if MSPs have clients that they would prefer just to remain time and material, we're starting to see them position kind of a help desk, service desk management module that includes monitoring and help desk support for a flat monthly fee. And that's what we're seeing in blue on the right. And again, the nice thing about these bundled solutions is they are still very simple to sell, they're cost effective, and they cover the basics that any small business would need for their employees. So by starting with that a la carte menu of services and using this as a feeder type of program for break-fix clients, this starts to allow you as the MSP to begin the education process on the value of managed services. Because as you can upsell more and more service to them, it soon makes sense for that business to make the leap and start subscribing to a more proactive approach to how they care for their network. And obviously, this is where the real money is made. So in looking at the next program level, the proactive program, the philosophy here is all about basic security and prevention of issues in order to improve, obviously, the network stability, the reliability of the customer's network, and to reduce the number of downtime incidents that they experience that can be very disruptive to the workplace productivity. It's at this level where you as the MSP, you're really committing to caring for and regularly maintaining all aspects of that client's network, all the servers, all the workstations, all the network gear, not just the bits and pieces like we're kind of doing in the a la carte program. And you want to monitor and manage all of your client servers as they're typically, they're the ones that house the critical applications that are needed and rely upon by the end users to perform their daily tasks and job functions. And you want to manage all of the network devices like the firewalls and routers and switches as they are the gateway to your customers' environments. And you want to monitor and manage all of the workstations as this is where you can really begin to build relationships with end users and help to create a better support for them and improve their overall user experience. So here at this level, you are committing to a basic set of standard monitoring services that you see here and a set checklist of preventative maintenance activities. But anything that is not part of your checklist, anything ad hoc, unanticipated phone calls, emails into your support desk, those are not included. Those are considered out of scope and are considered billable. But the overarching theme of a proactive program is that by delivering value through the types of preventative measures and the best practices that you're going to put in place, it will reduce the number of support incidents and the support calls so that those out of scope ad hoc billing charges shouldn't be too much. So in looking at the components of the proactive program a little bit further, the way the proactive program is structured is there is a set of core features that we typically see partners include along with some optional elements, just like the a la carte, that you can bolt on depending on the unique situation of the customer. So items like server or workstation backup, managed compliance, managed mobile, even building on maybe a block hours of support. So even if the customer starts at the basic or the core proactive level, there's still opportunities over time and through various sessions with that customer to upsell and add on these additional higher level services. So when looking at the core services, when caring for your customer server equipment, under the proactive program, we're looking at advanced performance monitoring, monitoring such critical server services such as, obviously CPU, disk space, memory, connectivity. We're monitoring for patch status. We're applying all necessary Windows operating system patches, as they come out. We're also ensuring that all third-party applications are properly patched and up to date, those Javas and those Adobes. We're performing regular preventative maintenance activities via your checklist on an ongoing basis, like disk space, deleting temp files, performing firmware updates, maybe emptying the recycling bin, and performing key application maintenance on the Active Directory and Exchange. And then obviously you're ensuring that your recommended AV solution is in place, that it's valid, that's operational, and that all the servers are receiving their necessary updates, again, as they come out. And we typically see industry average pricing at around $100 per server per month for this basic level of proactive service. Also, the core proactive server component doesn't include local or offsite backup. So if you determine when speaking to your prospect that maybe there's not a really good backup process in place, or maybe there's not a really good backup solution in place, this is where you can add on and include your own backup solution to the program, which we typically see adds on another $100, $150 per server per month to the monthly server price. And then when looking at the network services, when caring for the network equipment in a proactive program, obviously we're monitoring all the firewalls, the routers, the switches, and we're going to be performing ongoing updates and management like firmware when they come out. We typically see pricing around, $25 per network component per month for this basic level of service. And then when looking at the customer's workstations in a proactive program, obviously we're monitoring the workstation. Again, we're applying all necessary Windows operating system patches, third-party patches as they're released, performing routine desktop maintenance, and then again, ensuring the AV is working in place, valid, operational, and getting the updates as they come out. We typically see this around $20 per workstation per month. Again, this price typically doesn't include any sort of local or offsite backup. So again, if you determine when talking to your customer or prospect that there isn't a quality backup process in place or a good quality solution, maybe they're using something of a consumer retail type, then this is where you can position and add on your own backup, which can typically add on another $15 a month per workstation to the price that you're already charging. So again, at this level, it's important to note that these average prices do not include any sort of ad hoc reactive help desk calls that might be needed for any issues that may pop up during the month. All of those types of ad hoc phone calls, emails, those are billed out additionally to your standard time material rate. But as you can see by this pricing, though, that if you charge a premium for your a la carte menu items, by the time you get to about 3 services, like AV, patch, backup, there really is a case to be made to consider jumping to the proactive program, because at this level, this is where they're going to get the more in-depth care and the protection being applied at this level. Also, in addition, at the proactive program, this is where we typically start seeing partners include, some sort of quarterly network health review meeting, so that you can meet with the business owner, meet with the key stakeholders to review their business plans, objectives, and to see if any other issues or challenges might have popped up that you can assist with. Because most of your services, once you get going, are going to be automated and performed remotely under this new program, these quarterly review meetings are going to become really important. And it's because we need to be able to keep that personal connection to your customer to help cement you and your organization as that trusted advisor. Starting in this program, network performance is going to be vastly improved because you are working to prevent issues and you're catching issues before they manifest into much larger issues so that they don't negatively impact the end user. As a result, this could cause your customer to really begin to question, why am I paying you each month when nothing ever breaks? So by committing to these quarterly meetings, it will remind your customers of the service value you provide to them. You're going to be able to continue educating them that a proactive managed services engagement, the whole mantra is prevention and issue avoidance. And that is what that monthly fee provides. And we need this monthly connection or quarterly connection, depending on how often you want to build it out as part of this program. So please don't discount it. And then lastly, we have the fully managed fixed fee level. This is the most advanced program an MSP can offer to their clients. While the proactive program focuses on, monitoring, regular network maintenance, basic security services, the managed program includes more comprehensive monitoring, and it includes any remote or on-site support calls. It has typically higher levels of security and security service built into it, and disaster recovery services are built into it. Because the philosophy behind this program level is, you're telling your customers, we are your outsourced IT department, and you are committing to taking care of not only all of the network hardware, but you're looking after all of the employees as well. So you're including unlimited help desk support at this level, and then taking care of and remediating any and all emergency issues that might pop up during the day for that one flat, all-inclusive monthly fee. And admittedly, when first starting up, the majority of MSPs that I've worked with don't feel comfortable initially going to market with this type of program in the beginning because of the substantial risk that it does place on you as the MSP. But usually, once you have experience supporting customers, within the context of the proactive program, you begin to learn about that customer, you begin to learn what their network is like, you start to feel comfortable in terms of your service delivery that you offer. So it becomes more of an invite into the fully managed program at a premium price later on, because those types of customers at the proactive level, they're starting to become a little tired of the nickel diming that is part of that level. And looking at the managed workstation component, desktop component, here we're monitoring the workstations for connectivity, CPU, memory, disk space, all that good stuff. And again, unlike the proactive program, in the managed program, all remediation, all help desk calls are included as well in this monthly fee. And then the network component, we're typically seeing advanced monitoring of firewalls, routers, switches, things like traffic monitoring, interface health, VPN status. And again, we're doing more advanced management activities like, checking for firmware, security updates, maybe enforcing configuration guidelines, change management, configuration settings, that types of things. And again, just like what we did in the proactive program, we strongly recommend that you include a quarterly or even monthly, depending on the size and complexity of the customer, a VCIO or network health meeting with the business owner, with those key stakeholders, so that you can review reports and see if there's any other projects or initiatives that the business is considering that you can start giving advice on and hopefully be included in. Because again, this is your opportunity to bring value to the relationship and to really begin to entrench yourself as that trusted advisor. And again, avoid that dreaded discussion around, nothing ever breaks. Why am I paying you? So just to recap what I hope are key takeaways for everyone from today's session, the objective of outlining the most popular programs that we see successfully sold in the marketplace today, it's really twofold. If you're new to the space or if you're an emerging MSP and you're struggling with that notion of, what do I sell to my customers and what do I charge them? Then please use today's presentation material as a springboard to designing your own go-to-market programs and pricing schemes. Or maybe you've been in the space for quite a while, and maybe you're looking for advice on how to improve margins, how to add value to your existing programs, or maybe you're looking for ideas on how to revamp or restructure, what you're currently selling in efforts to help you simplify and standardize what's being offered by your sales team today. Then hopefully this presentation provided some, additional insight and guidance for you as well. But really, in either case, creating a set of standard programs that incorporate the same technology stack on the back end. In other words, using the same RMM, the same AV, the same backup, the same email filtering, web filtering, compliancy, across every program level is really important. It does help simplify the sales and the marketing process because you remove that option of allowing your customers to cherry pick and to create custom programs and to dictate to you what they will buy or receive from you. And it will also allow you to gain additional revenue because if you have programs out there that you're currently selling that are of all different shapes and sizes, by creating standardized programs with standard sets of features, it will work to allow you to upgrade services and increase the amount that you charge your clients today because you are providing additional value through the inclusion of these additional services. And then, most importantly, creating those standard programs with a specific set of software tools, it's going to create efficiencies for your NOC engineers and your NOC technicians and simplify the onboarding process as well as the ongoing management of those customers' networks that you take on moving forward, thereby, saving you considerable time and money in terms of labor costs, which is all good because it will help to increase your overall profitability levels, making your MSP practice that much more valuable in the marketplace. And by offering 3 distinct types of programs, it's going to allow you to offer a cost-effective, basic level of service to the most price-sensitive clients, to begin that education process and to begin generating recurring revenue from these types of clients who, in the past, have been very unpredictable and chaotic. Because I truly feel that a little bit of recurring revenue is better than no recurring revenue. And then once we get them on board in something like an a la carte program, you're then able to work your customers and work with them through a consultative sessions, through professional reporting, move them up the ladder into a proactive program, and then ultimately after a time into the fully managed program once you feel that you and your customers are ready. So this particular slide that you're seeing here, this is our North American version, but for anybody that may be outside of North America, we do have geo-specific versions created for this as well. So that wraps up our presentation for today. This, as Eris kind of mentioned at the beginning, this is the first of a series of webinars that we're going to be holding focused on helping MSPs grow their practice. And our next webinar is scheduled for February the 21st. This next webinar is going to focus on expanding what was introduced today and show how to best maximize the profitability levels of the programs that we just reviewed. So you can see the registration link here. We also are going to be sending it out. But if you happen to miss it or not get it, and you are interested in attending our second webinar, just reach out to your channel sales specialist and they will be able to assist you. Or if you don't happen to know who your channel sales specialist here, then please use my contact credentials that you see posted here. Drop me a line and I can connect you to the right individual. So that kind of wraps up the presentation. I'll throw it back to Eris to see what the queue looks like for any additional questions.
Hey, Steph. Yeah, there's some questions we can go through. The first one was, what did you mean by sales start in the VCIO area when you were discussing the managed program?
Right. So in conversations that we've had with, some of our majors and elite partners, they've kind of taken a different approach to how they promote their managed services, where they don't go out and proactively promote managed services, but they go out and promote their business consulting, VCIO type of discussions. And then based on having that conversation and that consulting sessions with the customers, obviously one of the objectives that you can tag on is, obviously some of your other options, but is the managed services and saying, look, we can help you with your backup, we can help you with your disaster recovery, we can help you with your project planning, for the next 12 to 36 months. But, in order to help us move in that direction, we really need to have and get a good understanding of how your network works and get that under handle. We can manage that. And so they kind of back end themselves into the managed program. But we are going to be having, as part of our webinar series, a specific session specifically on, how do you deliver those vCIO meetings? How do you build it out? What do you include? How do you structure it? So that's definitely to come.
Next question was tech time included in the Essential IT Support Program?
No, and that's a really good point that I didn't specifically address. In the a la carte program, they're just basically paying for you to resell the software, AV, backup, anything ad hoc, any calls into your help desk, your support desk, emails, anything additional that you need to provide, that is all billable. So you get infected by a virus, that's billable. You lose a file, that's billable. So that's why sometimes partners will build maybe a block of hours as part of the a la carte menu. So if they have a managed AV or a managed patch or a core security, they'll also add on maybe an hour a month, depending as well, to handle those ad hoc type of calls.
Next question. In Proactive, are you charging for the quarterly business reviews?
No, that's part of it, and you want to make sure that you stick to those. But no, the monthly price, the $100, $20, $25, the quarterly review is part of that cost, because really that's your sales opportunities. You want to use those sessions not to walk around and do desktop, fixing issues or anything like that. That's where you want to have really good business discussions with the business owner and key stakeholders. Find out, what their plans are. What are they challenged with? Where do they see the business going, the market going? Do they have any projects or things on the horizon that they're considering? Because you want all that information so that you can think about how you can further propose future project type of work for yourself. So you're not charging for it as a separate line item, but hopefully by sticking and having those meetings, you'll be able to get more project work out of it. And again, the other big reason is you want to fend off that perception of nothing ever breaks, why am I paying you? So if you can have those quarterly and stick to those quarterly meetings and make them a priority, you're keeping that connection and hopefully, putting at bay that notion of nothing ever breaks, why am I paying you? I'm just going to cancel my contract.
The next question is, do any MSPs do managed services for printers?
I used to support the copier area for about 4 or 5 years, and I have seen some partners do kind of a managed print module. But it's more like kind of going back to the Proactive program where you can offer kind of add-on modules to the core set. I have seen that, but basically monitoring for page count, toner levels, and then you can decide how you build in the ad hoc work for any printer repairs, whether it's billable or whether it's included. But I have seen it. It's not a huge focus, but it's more of an add-on that you can upsell, like backup, that type of thing.
Next question was, you mentioned under the Proactive program that you would charge for any support at a T&M rate. What is the industry rate for this type of support?
Oh gosh, that is actually hard to say because it really depends on where you are in the world, in the market. Also depends on who you have at your service desk that's going to be doing the work. I would say if I had to guess, just from supporting different territories in my tenure, I've seen it at the low end, kind of in a smaller market, $65, $75 an hour, to the higher end where it's, $125, $145 an hour. But what I have seen typically work is a couple of different scenarios where if customers are break fix, sometimes I've seen where the partner will increase substantially their time material rate for non-contract clients. And then kind of the carrot to get them to sign up for a proactive program is to say, well, we're not going to include the rate increase if you become part of our proactive program, but if you want to stay on time material, then your new rate is going to be 10% higher, 15% higher. Or conversely, they'll keep their time material rate the same, but then in a proactive program, if help desk calls, support, ad hoc does need to be done, then they get a 10% or they get a cheaper rate. Yeah, but that one's a hard one to say because it really depends on so many variables.
Next question. When building our managed services portfolio, would you recommend we include SaaS offerings like Office 365, for instance, into the package, or make a separate package for professional services and cloud services?
Again, we've seen partners all over the board for stuff like that. At a fully managed, all-inclusive level, then typically I would say yes, because you are the outsourced IT department. You are committing to looking after everybody. All the network, all the software, the people, emergency support. At the proactive level, it would just be kind of maybe another service that you can offer and bolt on to your core proactive program if the customer has that and if they're looking for that type of assistance. It's probably the way I typically have seen it built out.
Next one. What is your best response to a customer who has managed AV or full workstation monitoring and gets infected anyway, or experiences their problem issue before you receive notification of an issue? Do you have a stock answer to give? Not really. No, sorry. That's a good question. Yeah. So
it is a really good question. Yeah. So this is where, you have to go to the customer and say, the world is unsafe today when it comes from a cybersecurity perspective, and an AV alone is not going to be enough, unfortunately. There's always, the possibility no AV is 100%. So this is where you can start talking about a more layered approach to your security. That includes things like AV, like patch, maybe doing some sort of compliancy or vulnerability scan so that you can be made aware of any potential issues that might be coming up. And then if something does happen, then at least if you also build in and layer in the backup, then all is not lost. If they get hit with something like a ransomware, if you've been backing up, their desktop, with and backing up their operating system and that type of thing, then you can just quickly wipe it off, get it restored, get all the files back on, so that the customer can get back to work. So it's not a great conversation to have with a customer, but the fact is that AV is not 100%. It's not guaranteed, and in order to help mitigate the risk, we need to layer on some additional services. And that's really what we've been seeing in partners going to market with, kind of a layered security type of end user package that has AV, that has patch, that has backup, email filtering, to help kind of mitigate the risk all along.
And to add to that quickly, this has a lot to do with the start of the sale rather than the support of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So if you provide your customer with a correct expectation on what he's getting from that service or she's getting from that service, then you should avoid those types of questions.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Eris, especially if you have a customer that, they are price sensitive and they're like, fine, I'll just subscribe to your AV. Just making them aware that, there's, it's not foolproof. It's not 100%. And maybe we can add on the patch, or maybe we can add on the email filtering, so that there isn't, a bad click of a mouse. And maybe that can springboard into, let's just get you into our proactive program where all of these services are typically included. So really good point. You want to make sure that you're setting expectations correctly, especially in the a la carte program, and then use it as a springboard to maybe upsell them from there.
And then the same user just had a quick follow-up question. Would you then bill for the time and materials for the time to repair these types of issues?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Unless they're in a fully managed program, that's the only program level where remediation is included. So if they do get infected by a virus, yeah, that's on you. So that's why you want to make sure that you're not undercharging at the fully managed level, that you're charging correctly, because you are on the hook for that. But in a proactive program, a la carte program, yeah, unfortunately, the remediation work that you have to do to fix it is billable. But if you have something like, the backup, and you've been backing up the workstation, then, hopefully it shouldn't take that long to get everything recovered, so the bill won't be as high. But yeah, no, you're absolutely charging for that. And again, going back to Eris's point, that's part of the sales, making sure that you are properly communicating to them what your service responsibilities are at each level, and providing that type of example back to the customer and say, okay, are you okay with that? This program level has it, this program level does not. And then you put the risk back onto them.
Another question here. As far as delivering a contract is concerned, should we exclude devices that are more than X years old?
In a fully managed, yes, because you're on the hook. Underneath the proactive, you're sharing the risk. So you might as well monitor them what you can and do what you can, because if anything happens and they're having an issue, you can still bill for it. But fully managed, all-inclusive, absolutely. If they're not going to upgrade their hardware to an acceptable level that you deem, so if you're going to go to market, and we can do a whole other program just on that webinar, if you're going to go to market with a fully managed program, and we didn't talk about it, you need to do a proper network assessment. You need to do a proper evaluation of what's in that network today. And if there are things that you deem of lesser quality, they're old, they're outdated, and the customer refuses to upgrade to your recommendations of hardware that you will support moving forward in a proactive program, then yeah, you either exclude it or you knock them down into a proactive program where you can build them.
Yeah, and to add to that slightly, if an OS even is no longer supported, say by Microsoft, it's going to be hard for you to support it too. So be wary.
Yeah.
A couple more tricky questions here. Do you see folks charging to keep antivirus working, i.e. definitions are outdated, patches are failing, etc.?
Yeah, that would be part of your managed component, making sure that all of that, yes, that should be part of your proactive program if we're building it in there, part of your a la carte if you're building it in there. But if something gets through and there's a bad click of the mouse, unfortunately, unless it's in a fully managed, remediation is billable.
Follow-up question from the same person, and then I think we got one more question and we're done. You said to charge accordingly for managed AV because we're on the hook to clean up any infections. What price per device would you suggest? The one in the presentation said $3 a device. So little confusion there based on the fact that we're talking about different programs. So let's just clear that one up real quick there.
So virus remediation, if the customer gets hit with a virus, the costs to clean up is only included in the fully managed. You as the MSP are taking on 100% of all of the liability and the risk at the fully managed level. So if your end customer in a fully managed program gets infected, then yeah, you're on the hook for getting it cleaned up and getting the customer back to the state prior to the infection.
At no additional
Anything
cost.
less, at no additional cost. In the proactive program, in the a la carte program, if that same customer gets infected, then the cleanup is billable. You are not on the hook as the MSP for that.
Yeah, the remediation isn't included in the package for a la carte or proactive.
No,
where it is.
No.
Last question, and I think we can let everybody go. What are the average length of time for agreements?
Oh, I would say probably the most that I've seen is well, on average about 12 months. You know, get the customer to sign for a 12-month review, and then because maybe that's your opportunity to add on, get them out of a proactive into a fully managed. I have, you know, seen, depending on the sophistication level of the MSP, you know, do longer contracts if maybe they're doing some sort of hardware as a service. They're bundling in the hardware leasing costs as well. But I would say generally, if they're doing contract length, 12 months.
All right, and that should do it. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We will be recording, we have recorded this and we'll be posting it online so that you guys can watch it as often as you like. Again, you can always contact your account manager if you have any questions, or Stephanie's email there as well. The next webinar's link will be going out shortly this week for the 21st of February. It's also in the chat right now if you'd like to click on that and register. If you have anything else you'd need to know, by all means, just email Stephanie or any of us at SolarWinds MSP. We'll be happy to get you to the right person. Thanks for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.